Have you ever tried fasting? Maybe for a day or even just a few hours? It gets tough pretty quickly, right? You feel the hunger pangs, the thirst, maybe a headache. Now, what if I told you about a man who claimed he didn't eat or drink anything for over 80 years? Not a single drop of water, not a single crumb of food. It sounds impossible, like something straight out of a fantasy novel. But this was the extraordinary claim of Prahlad Jani, an Indian sadhu or holy man, who became a global phenomenon and a medical mystery. Prahlad Jani, also known as Mataji, passed away in 2020 at the age of 90. He said that when he was just a young boy, around the age of 8, he had a spiritual experience. He claimed that 3 Hindu goddesses appeared to him and blessed him. From that day forward, he said he no longer needed to consume food or water to survive. Instead, he believed he was sustained by a divine elixir, a form of spiritual energy he called Amrit, which he received through a hole in his palate. He dedicated his life to yoga and meditation, living as a hermit in a cave. His story is one of the most baffling and intriguing cases of what's known as anidia, or the ability to live without sustenance. Naturally, such a claim attracted massive attention, not just from spiritual followers but also from the scientific and medical communities. Could this be real? Could our understanding of human biology be completely wrong? The human body, as we know it, needs a constant supply of calories and hydration to function. A person can typically survive only a few days without water and a few weeks without food. Jani's claim defied everything we thought we knew about human survival. So, the question on everyone's mind was he a genuine miracle, or was it all an elaborate hoax? To find out, Prahlad Jani agreed to be observed by medical professionals on 2 separate occasions. The first major study took place in 2003 at Sterling Hospital in Ahmedabad, India. A team of doctors, led by neurologist Dr. Sudhir Shah, monitored Jani around the clock for 10 days. He was kept in a sealed room with a glass door, under constant video surveillance. The only time he was allowed out was for medical tests and a bit of sun exposure. The toilet in his room was sealed to ensure he couldn't secretly drink water. The results of this 10-day study were astonishing. According to the doctor's report, during the entire observation period, Prahlad Jani did not eat or drink anything. Even more remarkably, he did not pass any urine or stool. This is where it gets really strange. Normally, if a person stops drinking, their kidneys will continue to produce urine for a short time using the body's remaining fluids, but then they'll shut down, leading to a fatal buildup of toxins. In Jani's case, ultrasound scans showed that urine was indeed forming in his bladder. But then, it seemed to just disappear. The doctors observed that the urine in his bladder would increase and then decrease in volume, as if it was being reabsorbed back into his body. They had no conventional medical explanation for this. At the end of the 10 days, the doctors reported that Jani's health was perfectly fine. His vital signs were stable and his blood tests showed only minor changes, consistent with someone who had been fasting for a short period. This study only deepened the mystery. Critics, however, were quick to point out potential flaws. They questioned the rigor of the observation. Was the surveillance truly 24/7 and foolproof? Could he have had access to water when he was gargling or bathing, which he was allowed to do under supervision? The scientific community at large remained skeptical. 10 days, while impressive, wasn't enough to prove a claim of 70 years of abstinence. Many argued that for the study to be truly credible, it needed to be conducted by a wider independent group of international scientists and published in a peer-reviewed journal. So in 2010, a second more extensive study was organized. This time it was conducted by India's Defense Research and Development Organization, or DRDO. They were interested in seeing if Jani's abilities could hold any secrets for military applications, like helping soldiers survive longer without food or water in extreme conditions. This observation lasted for 15 days. A team of 35 researchers from various medical fields monitored Jani even more closely. He was watched by multiple CCTV cameras and personal observation was constant. The results of the 2010 study were just as baffling as the first. Once again, the official report stated that Prahlad Jani did not consume any food or water for the entire 15-day period. And just like before, he did not urinate or defecate. The doctors again noted the strange phenomenon of urine forming in his bladder and then apparently being reabsorbed. They conducted a huge range of tests, MRI scans, ultrasounds, blood tests, and cognitive function evaluations. Dr. Sudhir Shah, who was also involved in this study, told the media that Jani's body had likely undergone a biological transformation due to the effects of yoga. He theorized that Jani was able to derive energy directly from the environment, perhaps from the sun, a concept known in some spiritual traditions as Breatharianism. The DRDO researchers were amazed. They suggested that Jani's body might have developed an extreme adaptation to conserve water and energy, perhaps recycling his own bodily fluids at a cellular level. They talked about the potential for this to revolutionize our understanding of human physiology. However, just like the first study, this one also faced a barrage of criticism. The official results were never published in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, which is the gold standard for validating scientific claims. Without that, the findings remained in the realm of anecdote and media reports. Skeptics from around the world weighed in. Many pointed out that it's impossible to violate the laws of thermodynamics. The body needs energy, and that energy has to come from somewhere. The idea of living on sunlight and air alone, while a beautiful spiritual concept, has no scientific basis for humans. Critics suggested that the surveillance must have had gaps. Perhaps he was able to sneak sips of water during his supervised bathing or gargling. Others pointed out that the team observing him was composed of believers, which could introduce bias into the observation. The Indian Rationalist Association publicly challenged the findings, calling it a farce, and offering a large sum of money to anyone who could prove they could live without food and water under controlled conditions. No one has ever successfully claimed the prize. So where does that leave us? On one hand, we have detailed medical reports from two separate studies, involving dozens of doctors claiming that a man lived for 15 days under strict observation without food or water and suffered no ill effects. They documented physiological anomalies that they couldn't explain, like the disappearing urine. On the other hand, we have the fundamental principles of biology and physics, which say this is impossible. And the lack of publication in peer-reviewed journals makes it very difficult for the wider scientific community to accept the findings as fact. Could Prahlad Jani have been a master of deception, able to fool dozens of medical experts and 24/7 surveillance not once but twice? It seems unlikely, but not impossible. Or could his body have genuinely adapted in ways that science doesn't yet understand? The human body is incredibly resilient and capable of amazing things. Yogis and meditators have demonstrated the ability to consciously control bodily functions that are normally involuntary, like heart rate and body temperature. Could Jani have taken this to an unprecedented extreme? Prahlad Jani himself was never interested in proving anything to anyone. He lived a simple, reclusive life and saw his ability not as a spectacle, but as a gift from the divine. For his followers, he was living proof of the power of faith and spirit over the material body. For scientists, he remains an unsolved puzzle, a tantalizing anomaly that challenges the very foundations of human biology. His story forces us to question the limits of what we think is possible. Whether you believe he was a divine miracle, a biological marvel, or a clever illusionist, his case is a fascinating chapter in the long-running dialogue between science and spirituality. It reminds us that there are still so many mysteries in the world, and perhaps within our own bodies, that we have yet to uncover. The truth about Prahlad Jani may have died with him, but the questions his life raised will continue to intrigue and mystify us for years to come. What do you think? Was it a miracle or a hoax? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the unexplained, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.